So, here's baby me, a little naive, a little out there, very rambunctious. There's more of me, more of my natural self. Now, the first time I realized I was different was when I moved to California in 2013. I entered my elementary school in 5th grade, and I looked around and saw no reflection of myself. I realized that I was the only black kid in my entire school comprised of over 600 kids. I immediately tried to fit in. As you see, that didn't quite work out so well. I began to lose my accent as fast as possible, or any remnants of it, and I began straightening my hair. In 6th grade, I thought I needed something a little more permanent, a little more indefinite, and I saw this white creamy crack known as a relaxer, and I stuck it in my head, and I permanently damaged my hair forever. Now in school, kids I would dread going to my English class every day because there was these 2 white kids who would always go on their computers and look up racist jokes. I know. And they would shout them at me and tell them to me in person, and it would get to me. I would admit, yeah, it did. So in confidence, I went to my English teacher, I told her the issue, and she told me that it was a me problem. That it was a problem that I had to face on my own, and that I need to get tougher skin. I know. But I did my best that I could, and I just got better than those kids, scored over 100% in the class, became one of the top people with the highest GPA in my school, and I carried on. But even though that is true, my self-hatred had just nothing more of it skyrocketed. I wanted to look like the least natural version of myself. I wanted to fit into all the Eurocentric ideologies as possible. I let them say the N-word around me. I followed their trends. I truly lost myself. Now, in 8th grade, that's when it gets a little bit more depressing. I was on the way to McDonald's with my friends, and at the stoplight, a person rolled down their window as they were driving, and they called me an effing N-word. I know how bad people can be. But I stood there, I froze. I was shocked. Like how I said before, I let people say the N-word around me. I let people call me cotton picker. I let people say that my hair felt like sheep's wool. I let people do all these things around me and to me and other people around me. So then why did this feel different? Why did this encounter make me feel so isolated and so little and so dehumanized? That's when I realized I needed to change and that I was becoming part of the problem. During that year as well, Philando Castile was tragically and brutally murdered by a police officer after he was pulled over for a busted taillight. I was crying in my sister's arms. I looked up to her. I asked her, why is it like this? Why do I keep seeing Sandra Bland's happening? Why do Philando Castiles keep happening? Why does Trayvon Martin's keep happening? Why do these people that look like me keep getting brutally killed for no reason? I realized that I was part of the problem with enabling people just like the oppressor, and I needed to stop that. I began submerging myself in social media. I went back to my friends, my family, asked about my culture, and just tried to fully submerge myself and educate myself in all things Black. Within that culture, I researched music, and in 2016, A Seat at the Table by Solange had released. Those songs were especially influential because it really detailed my life as an individual, because it was about a Black woman trying to figure out her placement in America and how she was as a Black individual. The song that was most spoken to me was Don't Touch My Hair. It made me realize that the crown that she was referring to was tarnished and bruised, and that I had changed myself dramatically and hid pieces of myself dramatically to fit to people's standards. I looked in the mirror and realized that the hair in my head was no longer mine, and then I gave up the one thing that I was supposed to be most proudest of, my Blackness. Her words gave face that white people in society will always do their best job to strip us of our talents and nature, but that cannot break our strength and mentality and physicality, and that we should embrace it. But I had lost it. So I decided to go natural. I want to do the big chop completely, take a 1-inch razor, take a 1-inch clipper, and just go straight back, Britney 2006 style. But I did not. I chose the other way, which is transitioning. I transitioned my hair for about 8 months, which means that I let it grow out before I cut it off. I almost had zero clue what protective styling was, and I just didn't really know how to take care of my hair, and more or less take care of my innards. But on September 28th, 2017, I chopped all of it off. All the dead ends, all the grief, all the burdens. The concrete cast has been pulled off my face. The veil has been lifted from above. I was finally able to look in the mirror and see all parts of me. A me that saw how others characterized my blackness. A me that was able to love all parts of me that didn't align with the Eurocentric ideologies that were constantly shoved down my throat. But now that the outside was fulfilling, what about the inside? How was I fully able to cope with the discomfort, shame, and internalization I had been distilled within me? Soon after I cut off my hair, I went to my first Black Student Union meeting here on campus. My sister was the president at the time, and she thought that it'd be a good experience in my journey of self-becoming. And boy, was she right. This helped tremendously. One of the most impactful things in my high school career. Now, after one meeting, I was planted right back in my seat every Monday at lunch. And although at the time, my sister and I were the only two fully Black kids in the club, out of maybe 15 of us, the other cultures on the campus did respect our values and our morals that we want to create a safe space for other Black kids on campus. Because we need to stick together and we need to have that power, because the power in numbers is very strong, even though there's very little of us. In the club, we talked about cultural events going on, approaches we would use to defend and justify ourselves in a particular situation, and best of all, we were able to talk about our own life experiences and occurrences and relate and bond over them. Eventually, most of our club graduated that year, and it was left with me, my former vice president, and Miss Amagaji. I had now became lead of this club as president, and it now had become my job to do what Miss A and what my sister did for me for other people. Club day was massive, but we eventually boiled down to about 15 members. There they are. But we had about 10 Black members. That is more than half of the Black kids on campus. I have the opportunity to give incoming freshmen and other people joining our club the safe space and environment that we need to help build ourselves and build ourselves from the ground up. The feeling of recognizing that you're not alone, and that is a sense of relief, like a ton of bricks have been knocked off one's back. As my hair has flourished over the past 2 years, so has the love for myself as an independent, intelligent, beautiful, prideful Black young woman. I would never want to take that from anyone. Anyone! These kinky tight coils that have grown from my head have been what I love most about myself, besides the knowledge that I hold in this kinky, coily stranded, intelligent, independent, beautiful, prideful, young mind. Yes. If you've ever lost yourself, you know what it means and the effectiveness of what it means to find yourself. You cherish these moments that you have with yourself so much more. See, look at that. Big moment for me right here. You know what it means to have a full embodiment of oneself. Now, I know I'm still a teenager. I'm about to turn 17 in July. But I do have more evolving to do. And as an individual, and this is my hair straightened. I just straightened it recently in January, so here's the biggest update. But I've never been more happy to say that I think I've got it handled from here. Thank you.